All right. This is going to be a really exciting episode. Well, I don't know about exciting, but it'll be an exciting.
Don't get people's hopes up.
It'll be an exciting idea. Like it's really cool stuff, is what I'm saying. And it's kind of, I won't spoil it too much. We're going to wait for our guest, Michael Anderle, but it's this whole thing, everything that you're going to hear about in this episode started like 48 hours ago. It didn't exist for us, and what has come out of it didn't exist 48 hours ago either. It was something entirely different, and kind of a lot of stuff has changed just in 2 days, and it's kind of nuts and amazing, and you'll see it. You'll see when we get to it. You'll
It's
see
magical.
it when Michael joins us. It is magical, and Sean had the audacity on a call to say that he doesn't normally use the word magical.
Okay, apparently I didn't realize
I-
how often I use the word, but now I do, and fuck it, I'm owning it. It's magical.
And I was trying to make a joke when we were on the call with these people, and Sean was talking about not using magical, but I couldn't think of the word because you've stopped using it. But now I have, and I was going to say vapor.
Fuck you. Okay, so my something cool is Michael Anderle and everything we're going to talk about in 15 minutes. But beyond that, I do kind of orders of business. I want to say happy birthday to Maya. It's her birthday right now, and she is not live with us right now because she's getting a tattoo for her birthday, which is awesome. So a very happy birthday to Maya. And also, we need. I just noticed you have 806 high fives already, Johnny.
It was my microphone that got the high fives.
Oh, that's good. So we are looking at Sterling and Stone. We're looking for a customer service person who will answer emails essentially, and kind of relieve Amy of that role so she can do other stuff in the company. And so I guess the best way to go about that, I think Amy is gonna put you through your customer service chops. But we definitely want to pool from this audience because you guys know us, right? And we can't, our customer service would just not work outsourcing it to someone like Zendesk, right? You have to know who is in our tribe, who isn't in our tribe. Like very regularly, Amy will post something, customer service email of the day in our Slack, and it's something really funny. And you have to know who to repel, who to pull to us. And so just, I guess, send an email to help@sterlingandstone.net if you're interested in that. And Amy will give you more details and test your customer service chops.
And I will mention that boot camp is going to be, like, you can sign up for that now, but the actual boot camp, and in case you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, we're basically going to do a boot camp where we're going to
Storytellers boot camp.
The Storytellers boot camp, right? I should actually say what it is, because since Write, Publish, Repeat, and even since Iterate and Optimize, we've optimized our systems further, and we now have a lot that we've learned and that we do from a book's and the inception of an idea, the conception of an idea, not the inception, the conception of an idea to its launch. Like, there's a lot that goes into that in terms of deciding on what genre and subgenre, how we're going to approach the book, how we're going to write it, how we're going to edit it, how we're going to promote it and launch it. And so we're going to do this boot camp to kind of take you inside all that, and it's free. So it's at sterlingandstone.net/bootcamp. And just, I know some of you have heard this before, but just for repetition, it's going to be somewhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours per day. And that'll run from 3 to, say, 5-ish Eastern time, and Monday through Friday, June 13th through 17th. So that week, 3 to 5 Eastern, we're going to do this boot camp, and it's free. So go ahead and sign up. It's at sterlingandstone.net.
I love Edward too. A funny story. I was listening to a Smart Artist podcast while driving when I heard the boot camp CTA and dove into the shoulder so I could write it down before I forget.
Dove. Yeah. I hope that's drove onto the shoulder, not dove into the
crashed.
shoulder.
He crashed. He killed 3 people, but he got the link, which is sterlingandstone.net/bootcamp.
Wow, those 3 people probably had it coming.
I'm sure.
Speaking of, you have to do something cool. So I was going to divert.
Well, I gave my something
like
cool.
Edward onto the shoulder. Do you have anything, Dave?
I was wondering if anything cool happened to Dave in the last 10
None that I can talk about.
How's the move to Austin going, Dave?
It's going great.
I was listening to The Walking Dave today talking about you attempting to get rid of stuff.
Yeah, I was at dinner last night, and the people we were at dinner with, they spent a long time talking about the weather. And as I was,
Oh, I got that.
Wow,
text.
can I get an invite to that?
As
to
I
that
was-
next time.
Can I read your text?
sure, go ahead.
Well, I have to find it.
Better off
Keep
Monday.
talking, and I'll find your text.
But while I'm sitting there, I'm like, Jesus, my God, I am in hell. Like, this is not the kind of conversation I would be
Just got
having.
an email from these people that had dinner with you the other night.
Yeah, I don't even care anymore. I really
Okay. Yeah, yesterday,
I'm tired of
5:25
pretending.
p.m. For anybody there who wants to triangulate on Dave's whereabouts yesterday, at dinner talking about the weather. Ugh, can't wait to be around other people. Just random text from Dave. And I just said, LOL. Soon, dude. Soon.
Yeah, just I'm ready to get the fuck out of here.
Well, I have been noticing, like in the Walking Dave episodes, you're much more emphatic about it. You're not like they're trying to get me to move to Austin. You're like, I'm moving to Austin, and just like there's almost urgency in your voice about it. So that's good.
Yeah, that's my cool.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else. Since we literally just recorded an episode. We recorded an episode that you will hear in 2 weeks. Very confusing. And just I mean, before I go into talking about something that we all have much concern about, the reason that this is shuffled, because you people in the feed probably aren't going to care, but this is episode 209. And we just recorded episode 211, and the original plan was just to record 210, I think. And so basically,
that's correct.
Right. So basically, what we did
I'm
is
confused.
right. So we were going to record 210 today. We recorded 209 and 211. Now the reason that is because we already had an episode scheduled. We had Derek Murphy on, and we didn't. But we had something we needed to record an episode about today, and that's this show. This is urgent. This is like hot. And it wasn't enough to just record 2 episodes and just be like, well, it'll get onto the feed when it does. We were like, this needs to come the next Wednesday, which is just several days from now. So it meant pinging Audra and saying, look, we need to record one that needs to go on Wednesday, which actually preempted the one that she already was going to do for Wednesday. So that's the kind of urgency that is going on here. So this is some really cool. That can be my something cool. We shuffled the podcast order because something so cool happened.
Yeah, it is so cool. This is one of those episodes, and they come around every once in a while. We're like, okay, I remember that episode. Like it is going to be big.
Where you were, much like when JFK was shot.
This is the equivalent of JFK being shot.
Only in a good way. Imagine if he was shot.
Wow. Yeah.
You know
So
what else is the equivalent of JFK being shot?
No, don't say it.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're right. It is the equivalent of book covers. It is the equivalent of bad book covers. It's very similar.
It's a national tragedy. Bad book covers are a national tragedy that need to be stopped, and only you can prevent bad book covers.
Did you ever see that documentary where they had they analyzed every frame of this amateur video of a book cover being made badly?
Yes.
Did you ever see that?
Yeah, and somebody on a grassy knoll was making this horrible book cover, and they say this guy Lee Harvey something was responsible, but we all know it was like the CIA and the mob sort of together were colluding to make bad book covers, and we have to put a stop to that. And I think the only way to do that is to turn to the folks at 99designs.com/SPP.
You know, if you follow some of the bad book covers, you can see the book cover. The guy who made this cover actually turns in one direction.
If I were to
making book covers over here before turning back this way, and it's the one guy handle all those bad book covers.
If I turn my camera to the right, there's a wall, and if I were to do that, you'd see on the wall a chart. A flow chart with red thread going from CIA to mob to bad book covers. And I have a whole lot of bad book covers on, and I can't show them all because it would be giving away a lot. But I think...
Did you know that Jack Ruby tried to get a job at 99 Designs and they turned him down? They were like, no, I'm not dealing with that shit.
The Illuminati.
Well, he wasn't on ayahuasca. And clearly that was immediately like...
So yeah, if you want to avoid the CIA, the mob, the assassinations, and the bad book covers, you want to avoid all that. You want to go to 99designs, 99designs.com/SPP. They will create a great book cover that isn't part of the evil master plan to create a whole new world order. They will give you a book cover that will have you standing out looking like a bestseller, a book cover that you deserve.
So start your custom design today. Design today. Wow, that's hard to say. Start custom design today at 99designs.com/SPP. And if you use that link, you get the free Power Pack upgrade valued at $99. And the other thing that happens is that you have nothing to lose. So if you end up with a book cover design that you absolutely hate, which isn't going to happen, then you're covered and you have nothing to lose. You just walk away. You drop the mic. You're like, bad book cover. I don't know what to say there, but 99designs.com.
The Texas depository with your money in hand.
Yes, 99designs.com/SPP. And so with that, I will welcome our guest, Michael Anderle, who we met. Is it? I'm saying it's Anderle, not Anderle, right? Am I saying that right?
It's Anderle. You're saying it the German way. But...
All right. Anderle.
Scheiße. 9.
And so we met Michael at the summit, and the Smarter Artist Summit that we did a few weeks ago now, and he proceeded to blow our minds strategically over the next few weeks. And Sean had a call with Michael Wednesday. Well, one of you guys should tell us, because I wasn't part of this part of the discussion.
And I'll start just to frame it, and then I'll hand the mic to Mike, and he can blow our minds. This all happened.
2 gold stars.
Yeah, Michael got 2 gold stars. Amy would like to point out,
and I got none.
Well, I don't think. No, I got 1 for bringing water, and then.
Hey, wait a minute! I got 2 gold stars, and I also got to be the second male that shook Dave's hand.
Ooh.
Oh, that's right. And Michael hitched a ride with us one morning too, because he came out a little bit late, was clearly going to miss the shuttle, and we were on our way. And so
he got the joy of sitting next to me in the
riding with you guys is the exact same as listening to you on the podcast. The exact same.
Yeah, Dave was
do a whole
bitching about
podcast driving with us.
I would, if you move to Austin, we could do a driving podcast once a week. I'm down.
All right.
We'll
just pick up random people.
Well, it could be just Dave's mating call while driving is cunts. So that could be the name of the show, actually. Anyway.
Sure, Apple will promote that.
I can already see the album art. MGR Classic Great, Driving Miss Davy. Okay, now we have to do this. Yeah. So anyway, we've been talking to Michael, and clearly he's a really, really bright guy. One of the things I love about him is that he had this. Was it a 2-year goal, Michael?
Yes, it was a 2-year goal.
2-year goal to hit $50,000 in revenue on book sales, which would be enough to sustain him for retirement in Cabo, right?
Yes.
Which I love that. Like he's got this plan, he does it, and it was 3 months it took you. Is that right?
Yeah, my goal was to be able to do about $4,000. So in my 3rd month, I hit $12,000 a month.
Yeah. So round of applause for Michael. Like, that's awesome. So he's got this whole thing that he's working on that sounds so completely over my head. When I first heard about it, I just put it in a pile of like stuff I don't really understand, but it's kind of awesome. And so then on, I don't know, Monday, maybe he sends an email that says, hey, this thing is getting big and maybe we should talk about it. And
that's what Dave says to Sean all the time.
So I said, oh, okay, well, we'll do that. And we talked Wednesday morning, and my mind was pretty blown. And I basically said, well, I think that I'd like to be involved in this, however, in whatever capacity I can. I think that Sterling and Stone could help shape this idea in a way that I know I'm talking around this, but it all makes sense. Actually, it won't make sense, but
I'm not sure how much we're actually allowed to say too.
No, we're good. Say it.
Okay. So what Michael has on his hands here is something, and he can get into the backstory here, but basically it's a magic button. And I know that sounds impossible, but it's a magic button where you can put in your story and it can give you a complete market analysis of that story. It can tell you what is and isn't working in the story. It can tell you what the best way to position the story. It could tell you who is your ideal reader. It could tell you what parts of the story aren't working. Oh, you're writing a thriller, but between chapters 6 and 9, your sentences are way too long. Your pacing needs to be tight, and your short sentences need to be shorter.
Relative to thrillers that are selling well in the market.
Yeah, so just amazingly deep insights. And this is crazy. So basically, you know, the discoverability engine, I don't know if you're listening to this, how much you know about the discoverability engine that we've been talking about for a couple of years. And Seth and I actually had a call about it a couple of weeks ago, just, you know, like post Story Shop, like what can we do? I'm really game to get this discoverability engine going.
Seth is just looking for new crazy stuff to do.
Yeah. And so Michael is basically telling me that he has the beating heart of this discoverability engine, working with this other company
called Skynet.
They're basically a data company, and that's what they do. I just got really excited and said, look, I'm just so excited about this idea. I'd be happy to help you just on a consultant level, just give you advice, but I would love to partner in some way because this really seems like a natural marriage for Story Shop and what Story Shop is kind of born to do. And so he said, well, like clearly there's a whole thing going on already that we're stepping into. So he had to get with his partners. We got on the phone later that night, same night. This is still Wednesday, just to basically see if we all liked each other. We did. Like that call went. Yeah, that call. That call went famously well. We got on the call again yesterday for another call to talk about next steps and what we could do. And then yet a third call today where we were really talking about what the product could be and how we could best.
Today was actually 2 calls. There was a tech call and then there was like a product/marketing call.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so this is funny. So yesterday we're on the call and I thought it was premature getting Seth on the call. And at this point, Dave doesn't know about this. Like Archer, actually, as of the time of recording, Archer still doesn't know about any of this. Amy, I told last night. Garrett, I'm like, dude, you have to listen to the show today at this time, just beyond, because I haven't had a chance to catch up with anybody about this. This is all happening in real time. If you're listening to this on the feed, like this is all just hours old. So yesterday when we were on the call, I thought it was premature to have Seth on that call. We were still kind of figuring stuff out. Record. Yeah, that's right. Johnny didn't. I said, well, I feel like we're still knowing each other. I don't know that it's time to bring Seth in. And somebody on the call said, can you get him on right now? So while they're talking, I switch lines. I call Seth and I'm like, do you have time for an emergency call? And he says, I guess.
I'm just making Story Shop. I could take time off of that.
Comes in totally cold. Knows nothing.
Yeah, he comes in totally cold. He's just having to listen to this. And after the call, he said, I felt like I was talking to the architect from the Matrix, right? Because that's just
that's Kat.
What it was kind of the feel you get.
Yeah, and we'll have Kat, who's I guess what is she, like the project leader?
She's actually the owner of the company, but yes, she's amazing.
So we'll have her on the show soon, so she can blow everyone's mind. Can we call her the architect? Would she like that or get offended by
she's got a great sense of humor. So I'm going to say yes until she tells me otherwise.
Okay, cool. So we're going to have the architect on at some point.
But we were on this call with several people who they're chaos mathematicians. I mean, it's just like, how matrixy is it? I mean, this is some crazy, crazy shit.
Yeah, they made Johnny feel really stupid. I mean, even stupider. It was awesome.
The odds of my fries being hot when I go out to eat?
Yes, they can. They can do anything.
Going to make use of this.
So then we were on another call today. Seth is on a tech call, and we were on like a product design kind of call, trying to figure out exactly what this is and
go to market strategy, concepts. How could we integrate? Yeah, what can we integrate?
Very conceptual. And so right now, so then basically we decided, well, we're recording a podcast in a half an hour. You want to be on our second podcast an hour and a half from now and just start talking about this, because we are going to be integrating it into Story Shop very soon, really as soon as we possibly can. We are going to it will be a standalone product as well. If so, people who aren't using
it won't
StoryShop,
be a base integration. It'll be something additional that we'll have to account for now.
Right. So this is like a separate module that will plug into StoryShop, but you also can just get your book kind of evaluated, parts of it evaluated. And there's so much here, and we'll be talking about this for months, clearly, because it has become a really big part of the business overnight. But I want to turn it over to Michael, and he can give you some backstory. And we do have the people who have stuck for 2 episodes now. Feel free to ask questions. I think Michael would probably like to answer those, because this is all like you are seeing this in real time. So if we seem a little bit scattered and confused, it's because this is all very, very fresh.
The time this hits the feed will be a week from the first time we heard about any of this, with the exception of Michael, obviously.
Yeah.
All right. So to give a little bit of background, this is only about 30 to 32 days old for myself as well. What had happened is I had, right before going to Austin for the Smarter Artists, I had put a request on Kboards telling them, here's my story, and here's what has worked out so far for me, and then here's what's happened for my mentees. There are many different mountains that you can go up. You can go up because you want literary prizes, or you can go up because you want to see your book in the store, or you can try to write and make a living off of it, and that's kind of my mountain. And I've got a particular route that I went up, and I'm happy to share that if I can give back. So what happened is I expected to grow from 4 mentees to 8. And then by the time that I was arriving in Austin, I'm calling people who've been helping me and supporting me going, can you possibly become an additional individual? Because this is blowing up. We're at 80 people already, and this is just in about 72 hours. And so T.S. Paul helped, and a couple of ladies by the name of Diane and Doreen helped. And so it really blew up. But the idea was that we were hacking the process of success, trying to figure it out, because at that time on Kboards, everyone is saying you have to have 3 books, you have to have 3 books, or 4 or 5. And I saw that myself. But the problem is many people don't type as fast as I do. So I have a technology background, and I've written 500,000 lines of code. So I've typed a lot. And one of the things I told some of my early mentees is, since Amazon will not tell us whether or not your first book is any good, and it takes 3 books to figure it out, we're going to hack the process, and we're going to break that book down into 3 parts. So we're going to sell it as a 3-part serial. And if it sells 1, 2, 3, you have something. So that was the original idea. And then when I was sitting I kid you not, in a bowling alley with Krishan and Amy and Dan from Draft to Digital, and I think Scott, who is the photographer there, and I'm meeting everyone for the first time. Krishan has given me a blurb, if you will, of her story. And I can immediately tell in her first few paragraphs, I'm like, bored. And so I happened to mention to her, I was like, I don't give a fuck about everything you just said, but this new one that you just told me, that is important. That's what I like. So I realized that there might be an opportunity just to, instead of writing 3 short stories, to coalesce it into what we call a 3,000 word blurb. Probably a bad term, since blurb is also the marketing. But one of my fans, a lady by the name of Kat Lind, was asking if she could help me for editing. And she had helped one of the authors that I really, really love, Lawrence Donners, who has an Eldon Size series. And I was like, well, shit, I'm already booked. We're in the middle of a book. I can't, but I have this other little thing going on over here where I really need beta readers. I really need beta editors, because a lot of these people are authors that have no funds, and they don't know how to get these people. And so I was trying to create this group where we already had beta readers, had beta editors, subject matter experts, so that everyone just kind of clumps together and works together. And I said, would you join us over there? And instead of putting her in a separate group, the beta editors, I put her into the author group, which was a fortuitous opportunity because she started answering some of the author questions in a way that piqued my interest. So I messaged her again, and I said, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about this? And so she started extrapolating what she knew. And like you just said, my mind was blown. She first said, I'm a chaos mathematician. And I was like, the only thing I know about chaos math is how to spell it. So I
think they're responsible for the dinosaurs reproducing in Jurassic Park, right?
Probably so. So, and the other thing is, like, she knows 10 languages. And I'm my wife knows 4, and I'm just in awe of anyone that knows 2 or more. So we started talking a lot, and then I started realizing, and I asked her about her business and her company, and they've been in business since 1978. And she was telling me some of the things they do, and I said, So let me understand this correctly. And then I went down the path and said, because I have this technology background, I was like, does it do this, and this? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. It uses chaos math and some stuff that I still don't remember what she said, but I understand it better now, not so much right then. And so I said, okay, does it also do this? She goes, well, yeah. I said, could we use that for a book? Because they were using it for like multi 6-figure or sometimes 7-figure. These were the projects costing 6 and 7 figures. The actual, how much, like say some of these large enterprises were spending 7 and 8-figure amounts on these marketing projects. So she's like, yeah, we could use it for that. It wouldn't really be a problem. Now remember, at the same time, I'm trying to hack the process. I'm trying to figure out ways that we can get to market faster and we can get to market more richly for all of the people that were in this group. And so, well, let me take it to my team. Well, her team is 40 different people across the world, and the technology people are literally scattered around the world. She has PhDs that have retired and everything else. So you have a huge amount of really intelligent people, and they're a lot of fun. And amazingly enough, whenever they got online and they're talking about their, what is important to them, it was the same thing as you guys: fun first, then profit. So, from that, she got with her team, and her team loved the idea of changing the products they already had and had been using, and then dialing it down, if you will, to books. So we just started the process. I had met Krishan there. And so I was, for my job, my company, I was in Phoenix at the time. So I'm calling her from the airport going, can you be a beta tester? You have books. I know we talked about them, but here's this thing that's going on. And so it started with her as the first beta tester, and we rolled it out since then. And so kind of going with that, we found out, there's different ways to do it and everything that we'll talk about. So the idea on the Solitaire side, which is the company's name, and remember, it's not my technology. I just asked a lot of pertinent questions and then said, can we do this? And the answer was yes.
Yeah, but don't undervalue, but you are the impresario. None of this exists without you asking those questions and assembling the pieces.
Okay, thank you. And that's for Shay when she listens to this. So lost my train of thought. Where were we at?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the fun profit thing already, because we did click very well with these people for that reason. So in case it wasn't clear, well, I can only speak for myself, but I think I can speak for Sean. I was fucking intimidated, first of all, because they're so smart and staying above our head is really understating it. But the more we talked, I was like, oh, wow, like we're kind of on the same mission. Like they want to help indies. They want to improve the indie community. They, I don't know, there's some proprietary stuff I kind of don't want to say, but like they have an indie focus. Like that's where they wanted to go. And the idea that they ended up with this, what was that?
It's starting. We're focusing in the indie originally. Companies aren't, they have thousands of clients that are enterprise clients. So, but we are starting here.
And to get the, like, I don't even remember how it came up, but they were like, well, we just kind of, we think it'll be fun. And Sean and I both kind of lit up and said, boy, that's kind of our MO as well. We want to do things that are fun and that are cool. And then, they'll make a lot of money too, I'll bet. But that's never the driver. And so there's a lot of
this is clearly going to be profitable for them, but isn't the.
There are ways that they could have been more profitable. Let's just say that.
Yeah, this is, but clearly this is going to be fun, and I don't know. So sorry to.
No, that's all right. I probably remember.
That's it for me, but I'll hand the mic back.
So last week they had decided to go ahead and do a soft launch, and typically in this case, what we were talking about is a soft launch where they're putting it on their own personal website, something a product that they had not taken up to any of their existing clients, and they kind of buried it a little bit. The idea being, let's put it up here because they were looking at creating a secondary website as a child that ran the same in the back end. And while she and I were on the phone, she's like, well, that's interesting. We just got a sale. I'm like, you suck at soft launches. You're supposed to wait 3 or 4 days, and then you go out and celebrate on Friday, get smashed for selling a couple. And then by the end of the phone call, they had like 4 sales. And so I'm like, you fail at soft launches. And this was Friday night, I think it was. So I had, I kidded with her and I'd said, okay. And then I realized, well, this is coming out. We already had the beta users in our own forum. And I'm like, okay, well, let me go ahead and reach out to Sean. Half of it's because it's just cool shit. At the end of the day, it's just cool. And the other half was, in the back of my mind, I'm like, if anyone actually circles around and talks to you guys and says, hey, what about this stuff? And I had just been told like a week before, hey, I made it on the stone table, and I'm like, and they find out that I know about this and I haven't shared it. I'm like, they're going to say, you know what? I don't know about that, but I'm going to call that jackass Mike and I'll ask him about it.
That was exactly what we were thinking the entire time.
So anyway, so I sent the email and Sean said, this sounds like fantastic technology, but the next 2 weeks, I'm like punching bag. That's what time has got. I'm like, oh, great. But hey, stress is off on me. I don't have to worry about it. I did what I was supposed to do. So Monday comes around and I get an email from Sean saying, hey, I've got time. No, maybe anyway, Tuesday, maybe. I said, yeah, Wednesday morning, let's do it. And so I had gotten off a phone from a beta user in Japan. And I'm like, I had got to get off. Sean Platt is on the phone, or, I'm like, crap. Then I realized the link he gives me is wrong. So I'm like, well, how am I supposed to get to Sean? And I'm like sitting here emailing him going, your link sucks. I can't,
It was zoom.us.
Yeah. So anyway, so I get on with him and I'm expecting to have to go through the example document that we had run for one of the beta users and explain it. And I guess you had read it already and we didn't talk about it at all.
We didn't need to. It was clear just how in depth it was, and the potential is just, I don't know. You look at that document. Dave, have you seen this yet? Have I forwarded that to you yet? Okay, yeah, you need to see it.
Yeah, I mean, this is AI shit. Although Kat was clear to draw the line between artificial intelligence and applied intelligence. She made a point of that on our last call, but for a lot of people's purposes out there, you can probably think in terms of AI because you don't know what applied intelligence is. I mean, it's a machine doing reading and analysis.
So are we going to say?
Well, it's chaos math.
What does the company do? You said their name. So what do they?
Well, Solitaire Interglobal, they actually do a lot of different things, but they use chaos math, and they have actually the world's largest effective database for anything like this. You can have a larger database, but it would be something like images from the Sky Telescope, which would have zero benefit for us if we're trying to sell a thriller. But they have a 300 petabyte compressed database. And they have 11-to-1, which is probably one of the best in the world. So that 3,300 petabytes. To give you any kind of value to this, the Wayback Machine, the Internet Archive. So the Wayback Machine and all of their audio, video, and some of their other stuff was 50 petabytes 2 years ago. So that gives you some value. And so what the difference between artificial intelligence and applied intelligence is actually looking at everything from a really high level. So for instance, we've had people request is like, hey, why don't you test XYZ book that was useful 40 years ago or beneficial? And the problem with it is that applied intelligence not only looks inside your book, so it's looking at, like you said, it's looking at plot and theme and characters and your writing style and whether or not you're using more sympathetic writing style for your antagonists versus your protagonists. And then it's looking at age. It's looking at all of these different things. But then it exits the book and says, what's happening in the world right now around you? So, for instance, let's say that you have a thriller and a horrible terrorist attack, which mimics your terrorist plot happens. It will actually tell you between the days and go, you know what? Maybe you want to change that a little bit because of this external macro event. And so inside your book, or what it does is it has sales history for and uses it against your genre. And it'll typically go back, at least the reports I've seen, like, the one that I'm looking at here went back 7.25 years. But the reality is it's weighted. The value of a book is only 6 to 18 months in general. And it kind of drops off really precipitously in 3 years. So 36 months. So it's scattershot kind of beyond that is the term that they use. Once again, math. But for this particular person, it looked at a total of 174,963 documents for comparison characteristics, 678 distinct sources of opinion development, over 105 gigabytes of sales data transferring over 7.25 years. And there's a lot more, but that just kind of gives you what it's doing. And then, it's taking the whole and pulling it together. So the chaos math, the difference of it, say, artificial intelligence, not as in artificial sentience, but artificial intelligence is merely how fast can we get a computer to come to a human-derived equation so that we were like, oh, a human would say that. And then, of course, you get singularity and then the world dies. So,
that was Dave's line.
They have they have information like all the various book retailers and also what's in these books. Is that
they
what you're saying?
They have a ton of information, some of which I have to infer because they won't admit to everything. But they are quick to say we are data hoarders with a D. Considering some of the things that they do, I might pronounce it a little bit because they're willing to give up some of their services in exchange for data. And there is no zero other database like it in the world. So serendipity is incredible. There's nothing, what did I do to actually connect with Kat was I wrote a series that she enjoyed and then she reached out to me. That was what
I didn't know that part of the story. That's really interesting that she came to you.
It's magical. That's the word.
It's magical that she came to you as a fan. And then of course we're going, well, what did we do to deserve this as well?
Prepare 4 years. I mean, if y'all had the summit, I wouldn't have been there, right? And even go ahead.
Well, there are a lot of bigger players that this could have gone to, and it's amazing. It's everything about this is astonishing.
One thing you don't know about Kat is they're basically really, really smart flower children. So they're going to go with someone like you over a corporate because she understands that life is not about the corporate stuff. They're going to have fun first, and that's really important to them.
Christine has my favorite comment that is just so apropos for all of this. No fucking West. That is right.
Right out of the Beam, for those of you who haven't read the Beam. So what we're talking about here is something that, and the shape of it hasn't been determined yet. But if you have we call it the magic button because apparently that's the word right now is magic, where you can, you could almost do a before and after of a book, with an edit. So like, well, we determine that it's less marketable in this way. That's of course the Skynet coming to life. Sorry, the report determines that your book would be more marketable if you made certain changes, and then you make the changes and you would be able to see, well, okay, so now it's more in line with what we're seeing is selling right now. But there's other stuff too and again, I'm always wary of saying too much, but there are a lot of direct marketing applications. Can we talk about any of that sort of thing that might eventually?
Yeah, sure. I don't think we're really, because here is actually Krishana Aster. Is there anything in particular I should say? So this is a quote. So if any of my family ever listens to this is not me. The way you see it now will not be the same way you see it in a few weeks. It will be smarter, prettier, and give better head.
John sent that?
Well, it's like we wrote that. Oh, that's fantastic.
We have a question from Adam Murr. The analyst part of me wonders if you've seen the process run against a release book to see how accurately the model generated matches the real world results of that book opposed to testing on new books only, assuming you can answer this.
I don't know the answer to that, but the issue, there are many caveats to this. For instance, let's say that a person goes through there, and whenever you read a report, it is a consultant. And as a consultant, as the author, you have two hats, right? You have your author hat and you have your business hat. And so everything that you take in, you make decisions which way you want to go with this. That's its purpose. So for instance, with Craig's, what it told him was in one of the little blurbs, it said, you are writing shorter, faster sentences with the terrorists. And what this means is that for a thriller person, they're going to be more sympathetic to the stronger person. And your protagonist in the beginning has longer, denser paragraphs, which people are going to skip over. Do you want to change that? Yes or no?
So shorter sentences is a stronger.
Because what happens is people read them faster. Bam, 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 bam. Versus la 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 la. People get bogged down, is what it was telling him. And so, from his personal perspective, it helped a lot. But there are other things that he did. So it is very difficult to apply everything back and say it's because Scare did it in this case, and Scare actually means something. Whole nother discussion. But the engine. So with that said, I'm pretty sure they could do something, but it's very difficult due to just all sorts of things. We would have to look at the macro and microeconomics of that book.
So
I think part of the answer is it's too new as well, correct?
I'm sorry?
I think part of the answer is it's too new.
It is. It probably is too new, but they actually have a handful of major publishers' data, I believe, perhaps.
But too new, like anything that's run through the beta,
oh yeah,
too new to have an effective sales history. Because I think the question is, the book said it would perform really well if it was structured this way. Did it?
Yeah,
and we don't know that yet.
You'd have to do A/B testing, and who's going to put out two books, one that was changed and one that wasn't changed. You kind of have to make that decision along the way and decide what you want to do. This is, at the same time, did you have a really impressive cover? Did you have a great blurb? Those things change. And so, it is not a panacea of perfection. You're going to have to put some blood, sweat, and tears in this no matter what you do. The question is merely, can you get a better book? And the answer is yes.
Can you give the example of the graphic novel? Because I thought that was just fascinating.
Okay, so one of the things that I've learned about applied versus artificial intelligence is that, and chaos math. In chaos math, they look at a dirty pond and they see something happening on the surface, ripples, or it's curving. And then they go underneath it to try to figure out what's causing it, as opposed to, say, an inference engine, which does this in reverse. So in this particular case, the worst thing in the world to a chaos mathematician is to see a ripple or to see something happen and then not have any data, any justification for what's going on. One of our testing authors is in Japan, and she has a book, and when they ran her book through it, they could find nothing that matched. And so it is worse than an itch that you can't scratch. They must find out what's going on. So what happened is they end up sourcing and they realize, wait a minute, what's over in the Orient, Taiwanese, what are Japanese, didn't matter. And they go, well, let's grab some comic books. Let's grab some anime. So they sourced 35,000. They had another 40,000 coming. So they had to source 35,000 books and pull those into the engine. And then all of a sudden they realized we've got a match. And so based on the syncopation of the sentences and the ways that it were phrased, they were saying, you might consider actually breaking this really long book into 12 to 15 anime manga books.
Which is just astonishingly amazing.
Yeah, I'm having visions of Daleks going around. Exterminate.
Yeah, it's not that. Although
but for good.
Yeah, we had to source some deviant behavior, and then first they had to explain to me what deviancy was. And they're like, violence. They're like, violent is not deviant. You can shoot somebody all day long. That's fine. And I'm like, what's deviant? Yeah, and they're like, well, deviant is when you come up to and you start writing in there about how you cut his arm and you're licking his blood and enjoying it and rivaling in it. Okay, that's pretty
they read my book.
Yeah.
So what do you think it would say about Abraham Lincoln, fuck Lord of the Moon?
No, but you bring up an interesting point, and that is, if you don't tell the engine what your genre is, because I suffer from this as well, but if you don't tell, it will go through and try to find the similarities to other existing books and go, well, what genre was that in? And then do another pass with that assumed. If you tell it what genre, it'll tell you how close you are to matching that genre.
I think the author of that book might have trouble finding the genre that they're writing in.
I think he invented it from him. Or she, I have no idea.
Some of the other stuff we were looking at, this is what I alluded to earlier, and I think Michael gave me the green light to just sort of mention these as possibilities, is the idea of, let's call it like semi-marketing automation. It's not really automated, but the idea of if you need to write tweets or Facebook posts, there are certain ways that those need to be written in terms of flow and length and language used and sort of key phrases that appeal to readers who are going to click on ads. that the engine should be able to provide for you as well. And as well as timing, because they have this data on when are tweets the most effective, when is Facebook, what sorts of targeting is the most effective. These are all things that we can probably look at as well.
Yeah, that was actually, I remember talking to them about that when they were telling me this. It's like, oh, by the way, we're looking at building this piece where it's going to, list it and tell you when you need to put them. And I'm like, would you please give me that right away? Because if you'll write it, and then, Sean, your comment on the phone yesterday about what a pain it is to have to come up with that stuff.
Oh yeah, there's so much about this that because the whole premise of Story Shop was always write better stories faster. And this is just in alignment with all of that, but it's also sell better stories faster. It's understand your market faster. It's connect with your reader better on a deeper level. And I do understand the resistance to an idea like this. Oh, well, you're just totally writing to market. Well, as an artist, don't you want to connect with your reader as best as you possibly can? And if you can this is no different than hiring a developmental editor who would tell you the same things. A developmental editor would say, hey, between chapters 6 and 9, your sentences are too long. You're a little bit clunky. You're taking your time. Why is it different for applied intelligence to tell you the same information? It's just faster. It's more efficient. You can write more books.
Yeah, you actually kind of hit it. When I started writing and everything, I had zero knowledge of the indie author industry. And so I was frustrated a lot as the more I learned. When I, released something that was poorly edited, and I go looking around for editors, and they're like, well, we can get you in January. I'm like, no, that's not going to work. So I made the mistake of finding out someone who was fast, cheap, and crap. So I learned that mistake. And so I'm constantly trying to figure out how can we get to market faster, do it better. And, we've had some, but that's kind of behind in my personal effort behind this. Remember, I'm not about creating a literary book. I'm not about creating a book that goes in the bookstore, although, it wouldn't bother me to be in there. And a literary, it humors me to think that I would ever get a literary award. But actually creating books that fans want to reread, that is on my list of things to do. And so I love the fact that my fans do that. And getting it out there to them faster is it. And so if I'm reading this and it's telling me something, here's a perfect example. If I'm writing an action and I put a few scenes in there and it comes back and says, well, if you actually add just this little bit, you will appeal to more female readers, which I've seen something like that in one of the reports, I'd be amazed, because I would think, well, I have no shot at getting a female reader. And you're telling me I just tweak some and I've got a shot at, oh, great, I'll go do it. Or I could be sitting there going, you know what? I don't intend to target female readers at all. So no.
I want to alienate them.
So this is all very preliminary. We don't have any idea of timeline. We don't have any idea of integration or exactly what it'll look like. I think that preliminarily, like Sean said, we are looking at probably 2 versions. One that would be something that would be standalone, and you could probably just order analysis.
Yeah, there is that.
A la carte.
Yeah, that piece is there. And so all the stuff that we kind of talked about this afternoon, but it is the so it's kind of like that's there. But if you're going to be someone that's going to be using anything related, here with Story Shop, the integration with that piece and some of the stuff you guys aren't talking about is fantastic.
Yeah, so that's the problem. This is all so new, but we wanted to get here immediately. We wanted to share this immediately, and we've got we've got 2 things right now. We're going to work on the Story Shop integration. At the time of this recording, we're a few days away from beta for Story Shop 1.0. We plan on going live in June with the real Story Shop. And then we have 2 totally amazing modules that we're building for Story Shop. One is this that we've been talking about, and then one is something totally different, which
that
is
we
also
talked to Seth forever ago about and said maybe someday, and then it just became this thing that's like urgently being created.
I can't wait for
sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's just going to be awesome. And actually, I'll read something from Seth's private Slack today. There's a long thing, and then he said, but if you want a sound bite, it was amazing. We had dreamed about some of this as part of Story Shop's 10-year plan, and I can't believe we're seeing it on the horizon already. So that's just kind of amazing because we did have really big goals for Story Shop. And I felt like Michael knocked on the door and said, hey, come on, let's just go a few years in the future. The water's warm. Come on, jump in. And so.
Sorry.
No, go on.
I did have a lady who, when we were talking about it, she's like, I was just thinking 3 days ago, I can't wait until that occurs. I'm like, when you were hoping it would occur, it was already here. You just didn't know about it.
Yeah. And that's just pretty awesome. So all of this, I know this is like the comment's already gone, but it said, somebody in the comments said, I was thinking that the guys were overselling the news in this episode, but oh my God, they totally didn't. And that's how we feel. We're still calibrating for all of this. And I'm sure we have many more meetings to come and figuring out exactly how to build all of this. But it's very, very exciting. And, again, it's testament to this community because it all happened because of you guys. Story Shop getting built happened because of you guys. The summit happened because of you guys. We know Michael because of you guys. And all these pieces fall into place. And like Michael said, serendipity is a beautiful, magical thing.
So my question is... Oh, go ahead.
I can say for the record, I had to ask who Johnny and which one was Sean because I've never seen you guys on video. And so I'm like, he's like, hi. I'm like,
you're lucky, man.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, are you Johnny or are you Sean? And he looks at me.
The guy with the beak is Sean.
This is Johnny I was asking.
Yeah, I remember that. That was one of my first interactions when we first arrived the day before the summit. And it was this moment where I said, oh, you know what? Most of our audience hasn't actually seen us. Like most people just listen.
So when the Terminator robot is sent back to prevent this from happening, will they come here and shoot one of us in the podcast, or will they go back to the summit?
You, Dave. No.
It won't be me. It'll be one of you fuckers.
You know what? I think actually it'll probably be Amy because without her, it wouldn't have happened so well. So she's toast.
Watch out, Amy.
Uh-oh.
If someone knocks at your door,
Amy.
are you Sarah Connor? Run.
All right. So I guess stay tuned. I'm sure we'll be talking about this a hell of a lot. This is amazing. I'm really glad that we got to do this, that it came together so quickly and that you were flexible. Like, hey, you want to come on now? And
hell yeah. I mean, this is every author's dream, man, right here.
Oh, this is impossibly exciting. I know that, well, especially Johnny and I get excited about everything, but this is like redefining excitement.
And Dave said, I have no rain for your parade when we told him.
Yeah, right. So yesterday after we got off the phone, we called
totally
Dave to catch him up with everything.
Yeah,
we were expecting just
Sean even said several times, go ahead and shit on
it. I said, deflate our balloons. Go ahead, it's your turn. And he said, nope, this sounds awesome. So yeah, it's even Dave proof, and nothing is Dave.
Oh, wait a minute. Y'all said that right after that. He said something else that made Krishan and I go, oh, okay, that's Dave.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, so his finishing that was, but they're probably listening to this phone call right now.
Right, they know all of Dave's fetishes.
Yeah. We're going to expose your B author fetish if you don't go.
Yeah, so we have a good question here in the comments. Kate wants to know if this magic button could tell us what's in Dave's basement.
You know what? The only thing I have to say about that is, three things, I guess. One, I was shocked to find out I was modeled whenever the whole company was deciding how to work with me. They modeled it. And then I was still totally shocked whenever I thought the guys weren't pitching themselves well enough. And
this was great.
Yeah, well, not so much on my side. But so the guys come on and they just kind of lowball themselves. And I'm like, come on, guys. I mean, I got you the phone call, but I'm thinking a little bit more. You guys are fantastic. You've done all these wonderful things. So I kind of interrupted and I said, these guys really aren't pitching themselves. Let me go ahead and pitch for them. And Kat let me go like 45 seconds before she cut me off at the knees and said, Michael, I've modeled it. I'm like, oh. And everyone else was laughing. And I find out later just how many models they had run. But
yeah, they've already determined our futures of this endeavor. They knew everything about us already.
They know what you're gonna say next.
They know I'm going to.
It's pretty fantastic.
Not true, but
Yeah.
They are a fantastic group of people. We're constantly making it better, like Krishan's note, except for the last phrase. So, I suspect it's going to go further, but the analogy that I use besides the consultant is every author's got 20 plastic eggs of ideas. If 6 of them are going to make you money, we're just trying to figure out which 6 of those are and get to them the fastest.
Right. Yeah. Magic button is probably a little deceptive, but it does what it does is magic.
I'm surprised my skepticism passed the model test, that it didn't break the machine or something. Like nothing. There is no model that we can have
necessary
to predict a positive outcome for this
We're
guy.
surprised too. Yeah, we're surprised too. So I guess the best CTA here is to if you're not on if you're already if you were a Kickstarter backer for Story Shop, then you're already on the list, and we'll be able to give you updates and tell you what's going on. If not, you might want to get on that list. It's getstoryshop.com, and then we can send you an email when we know more. And as Christine has reminded me, we also have a boot camp coming up. That's the Storytellers boot camp. That's 5 days from June 13th to 17th, and that's sterlingandstone.net/boot.
I think that in the coming weeks and months, as we get more excited and closer on this, we need to have Kat on, because the sheer amount of brain power is kind of like she'll throw a whole bunch of shit at you that you won't understand, but you'll know that it's awesome. You'll be like, I didn't get any of that, and wow, am I eager to find out what's behind it.
I can both support that and feel humbled at the same time.
So I guess we'll stop at this point and just expect a lot more. And thanks so much for coming on again, Michael. Amazing stuff.
Pleasure.
And so thanks everybody for listening. And this is the end. So bye-bye.
Thanks everyone.